Resident Evil Village has evolved around a chalice with 4 lords protecting it. These 4 lords have long been the rulers over the mysterious village in this game, which Ethan sets foot in. These lords or houses have been labeled as noble and protectors of the village, but at times, some have been occupying the village and ruling over it with cruelty. Today, we'll discuss the 4 lords of Resident Evil Village, who they are, what's their significance, personality, backstory, and more. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator. There will be spoilers in this video. With that said, let's get right into it. Donna Beneviento is a quiet character unlike the other lords who all had a say in the meeting with Mother Miranda, where they were deciding on Ethan's fate. Donna, unlike the rest, didn't seem to be psychopathic and seeking blood and death. Instead, she was modest and minded her own business. She also doesn't have any mutations like the other lords, apart from a small mutation happening on her right eye. There are some images in Miranda's lab showing similar mutation growth in head and eyes. But there are no mutation of Donna mutating her to a large monster like the others. Ethan comes across a graveyard where it mentions Beneviento 1987 to 1996, with the first name not being readable, with the last letter A of the name only visible. It's likely that this is a hallucination as Donna is still alive, but let's keep theorizing for another video, as I intend to make a video dedicated to this wonderful antagonist. Donna keeps a doll called Angie next to her all the time, which usually does all the talking on Donna's behalf. She also wears a morning black garb throughout, which makes Donna quite creepy. Now, let's talk about her backstory a bit. Donna was born into the noble house of Beneviento, a family of doll makers. Presumably, for generations, this house kept a good alliance with the other houses controlling different regions of the village. As a little girl, Donna hid herself from others and kept to herself due to a scar on her face, which made her feel insecure. Her father made her a lifelike doll called Angie to keep her company, which she has till very recently. Donna's parents die soon after, which causes Donna to fully isolate herself only with her dolls. Eventually, Mother Miranda takes her under her wings, quite literally and figuratively.
Nice.
Mother Miranda then experiments on her with a cadeau, which gives her the ability to interact with infected plants to create hallucinations.
Oh, hell no!
But in return, the infection takes a toll on her mental health, giving her severe mental illness, possibly due to pre-existing insecurities and mental health issues. Donna is physically said to be the weakest amongst the other lords. However, she displays her powers by causing hallucinations upon Ethan, making him see Mia, hear Mia's mementos, and see a fetus-like monster. Donna divided her cadeau amongst her dolls to make them move and for her to control them remotely. She also is able to interact with mutomycete plants by releasing a pheromone, which causes the plants to release their pollens. When humans inhale these pollens, Donna is then capable to control the pollens to cause hallucinations on the victims. Carl is said to be the strongest lord of all. His cadeau affinity is very favorable, he has a very hip style and interesting pince-nez glasses, which I have a pair similar to. Carl has also a very distinctive voice, which makes him sound like a maniac genius, as he experiments with humans.
Oh, you're not local. Even better.
Now a bit of his backstory. Carl is presumably the patriarch of House Heisenberg, another house in the control of part of the village. He is a genius in engineering and runs the inherited Heisenberg factory, where he conducts ethically questionable human experiments. Carl, unlike Alcina, and presumably like Donna and Salvatore, does not have eternal life. He was presumably kidnapped by Miranda at a young age to be subjected to her cruel and selfish cadeau experiments, where they become brainwashed to serve under Miranda and spread the cadeau and infection further. Carl, unlike the other lords, holds a personal grudge against Miranda, as we find in his secret room where he covertly plans a rebellion against Miranda and tries to persuade Ethan to use Rose against her. Heisenberg's house also kept a close alliance with the other houses historically to rule over the village. Carl also has a rivalry with Alcina, who doesn't see him as her equal and wants to see him dead in order to be seen at a higher position in Mother Miranda's eyes. Heisenberg performs cruel human experiments in his factory where he mends humans to electronics, where he creates Frankenstein monster-like entities. Carl seems to have regenerative abilities thanks to the infection. He seems to also have superhuman abilities as he wields an extremely heavy hammer. But as he can control metal, it might be that ability that he's using to wield the hammer, and not his actual strength. The infection seems to have not taken a massive toll on him, as he has good brain functionality and can control his mutation. The infection caused him to have electric organs similar to the electric rays. The electric organs are connected to his nervous system, which allows him to pass and control electricity throughout his body, allowing him to control magnetic field, letting him control metal, just like Magneto. I already made a video about Lady D in regards to how old she is, where I explain parts of her backstory, which you can watch by hitting the card above. In the segment, I might repeat some of that information just to be thorough. Alcina is a woman raised to be a lady, likely from a rich class from early 1900s, as apparent from her articulate vocabulary, sense of style, and mannerism. She also sees everyone below herself. No pun intended here. Likely a mentality she grew up with in her house. This can be further confirmed in theory as she suffers from a hereditary blood disease, something that was prevalent in rich classes back in the day, as they believed in the stupidity of being of pure blood. Therefore, they only mingled and married within their bloodline and family, which gave them a lot of genetic problems. It is said on several websites that Alcina inherited the castle as the matriarch of House Demetrisk. But in her memoirs, we can read that she was given the castle by Mother Miranda. Castle Demetrisk is also said to be a medieval castle, but looking at its Renaissance design and construction, it's more likely it was built in the 17th century or even later. Unlike the other lords, Alcina was already 44 years old when she got infected by the Cadeau. We don't exactly know how she happened to meet Mother Miranda, but they seem to have sparked a connection and became good friends. Apparently, Mother Miranda was being worshipped as a god prior to their meeting, so maybe Lady D had some sort of issues. Maybe due to her hereditary blood disease even. She decided to meet the new god of the village to seek some sort of miracle maybe. Hence, she was given the Cadeau, which in a way fixed their issues, but gave her more in return. As I mentioned already in the previous video about Alcina, it seems that she was born in late 1800s or very early 1900s. Sometime after becoming infected by the parasite and becoming eternal, as the infection stopped her from aging, with the help of Miranda, she created 3 vampiristic daughters who were nothing but carnivorous flies, mimicking human shape. These daughters were obedient to the teeth to Lady D, and had very human-like personalities. Now a bit of the backstory. Demetra's house was closely associated with the other houses of the village. Her house ruled over the north part of the village, where they took several maids and servants, drained them of their blood to create a house-made wine, the Sanguis Virginis, and replaced them with more servants and maids. We can actually play as a maid in a playable demo. As the result of her infection, she obtained eternal youth, or in her case, eternal beauty, and a curvaceous figure. She also obtained extremely fast regenerative abilities and the ability to grow her nails into long, sharp claws that could slice through anything. In return, she grew non-stop. That is why she is 9.6 feet tall and still is growing. She also had to consume human flesh and blood to maintain her mutation balance due to her pre-existing blood disease. Otherwise, she would mutate uncontrollably and even die. Lastly, we have Salvatore, who amongst all the lords is the most hideous one, who is left out by them. We can even hear how insecure he is when he has a chat with Ethan, and how he lacks any self-worth and isolates himself in his reservoir. Unlike the other lords, he has only some control over his mutation, to some degree. He is visibly badly deformed due to the infection, and has low brain functionality. Moreau wasn't always so miserable. In fact, he served as the last lord of House Moreau. Yet again, another noble house that was in alliance with the other houses. Moreau was a follower of the new religion led by Mother Miranda, and maybe that is how he was subjected to Miranda's cruel experimentations. He conducts experiments on villagers too, like the other lords, but unlike Donna, who only used her cadeau on her dolls. There is a location where he performed his experiments, signposted as Moreau's clinic. Therefore, his family might have had some sort of involvement in medicine. The cadeau transformed Moreau into a fish-like monster, having almost no resemblance to humans anymore. He can vomit acid and can mutate into a fish-like monster, which he doesn't have much control over. That was some synopsises of all the lords of the village. I might make a video directly dedicated to Donna as well, which will contain some theories, to connect some dots. For more videos, stay tuned by hitting the big red beautiful button, or in other words, the BRBB and the notification bell. It's been your host Star. Till the next video, have a fantastic day.